Number 1. To make sacrifices. Falling in love is a very beautiful thing, and most people look forward to that time when they will have someone with whom they share a bond that is almost unbreakable. Someone to love, to hold, to cherish, to call their own as they walk through the journey of life. As good as all of these things are, there are other sides to it. Many do not find out before going into a relationship. They have no idea that a lot has to be done to make any relationship successful. One of the things you must prepare ahead of your meeting with the one for you is the ability to make sacrifices. And the truth is that there will be many sacrifices to make. You cannot expect everything to be perfect all through. Even when the relationship seems perfect in the eyes of others, there will be little hitches between both partners. It might be something as simple as missing an important game with your friends, and it could involve having to give up your job, or move across town, or sell something important to you. The sacrifices vary under different conditions, sacrifices you have to make to ensure you have a successful relationship. Eventually, it will also come down to what is most important to you. So, will you pick that person over other things? And do not get yourself into thinking that it will be easy for you to do because you are in love. The truth is that sacrifices are not convenient. That is why it is called a sacrifice in the first place. You would have to give up certain things, and I promise not all will be easy, no matter how in love you are. Admittedly, at the beginning when you are so much in love, it feels as though there is nothing you cannot give up just to make the other person happy, and for some time, this might work out well. You might even experience a feeling of accomplishment for giving up some things, and it will not really count at that time. But as soon as the butterflies begin to wear out, that is the point where your love will be tested. That is where your loyalty will be tested, and you will have to choose what or who really matters. So, while you are wishing to be in a relationship, and all the beautiful feelings that come with falling in love and meeting your soulmate, you should also be prepared to make sacrifices. It is the way of life, and it applies to your relationship as well. Number 2. To forgive. Forgiveness is very important in any relationship, especially with someone you hope to spend the rest of your life with. You cannot ignore the fact that you will step on each other's toes sometimes. The fact that you are soulmates does not mean you will not have disagreements. You would fight and have arguments over a lot of things. Yes, that is the truth. Just think about how long you have spent with your parents and siblings and the time you have come to know each other. Even with a similar background and upbringing, you still have areas where you disagree, and once in a while, there might be arguments between or amongst you. Now, compare that with someone who comes from a totally different background, has a different upbringing, and has his or her own perspectives or opinions on how things should or should not be done. So, you see there will be fights and arguments, and that is not a bad thing in itself. It's sometimes, as long as the arguments does not go overboard and are settled amicably, it means the relationship is balanced and one person is not being suppressed by the other. It means you can both express yourselves and make your own opinions known in the relationship. The whole point of this is not to prepare you to fight or take a stance. No. What you have to be prepared for is the ability to forgive your partner when they offend you. Just to be clear, you can be sure that offenses would definitely come. You just have to make up your mind to overlook certain things. They will have their flaws and weaknesses. They will have their faults. You must be prepared to accommodate all of these and still make the relationship functional and running. That is not to say you accept everything they do and just overlook it. No. There will be times that you can just overlook some things, and there will be times that you have to talk about it. You cannot keep accommodating certain things in the name of avoiding conflict, as that would one day lead to an unpleasant explosion. Instead, handle things as they come. Talk about it not with the aim of finding fault or placing blames, but with the hopes of finding solutions and reaching an agreement. That way, the relationship becomes stronger and better. On the other hand, you must also be willing to sincerely apologize when you are wrong. There are times when you would have to say sorry even when you are not at fault, just to keep the peace. That means you must be ready to keep your ego aside and come low if you want things to work out. It is part of the sacrifices you make in a relationship. This is not an aspect that anyone likes to anticipate. You cannot totally avoid it. Do not wait until you are in a relationship before you start preparations. That era needed for anyone in a relationship. Number 3. To adapt. You must also be prepared to adapt, to compromise some of your ideas and opinions. You must be able to see things through their eyes as well. As said earlier, you are two different people from different backgrounds and with different upbringing. You will not agree on every issue, no matter how much you love each other. In order to avoid conflicts and settle things amicably, you have to come to a point where you can agree. Both of you will have to adjust to accommodate each other. Be prepared for that too. Number 4. Responsibility. Responsibility sounds like such a heavy word. Like there's a burden that has been placed on your shoulders and nobody likes a burden. But the truth is that relationship involves responsibility and so does marriage. So, if you are considering going that far, you might as well start getting prepared to take responsibility for certain things and certain people. You will need to take up some responsibility consciously at some point if you want that relationship to get to the destination you expected. For one, relationship requires communication. If there is no communication, the relationship gradually falls apart. The same way you communicated in the beginning has to be sustained, but this time, it will take conscious effort from the both of you. You will consciously have to check up on the other person, take time to discover some things, and basically take up every other responsibility that crops up in the course of the relationship. It does not just involve getting breakfast in bed, receiving flowers, and all those romantic things. It takes more to keep a relationship and a marriage. Even those things would require your efforts at some point, and there would be other serious issues to trash out. You must be ready to stand by your partner at all times, be supportive, and make your contributions as is required of you. Marriage is no child's play, and that is why many quickly fall out just after a few years or months of being together. They were not prepared for the responsibility that comes with a relationship. But that's exactly how it works. You get the whole package together. If you want to have a wonderful marriage, you will have to put in some work. You have to be prepared to take up responsibilities. Number 5. Commitment. Commitment is very key. Once you are in, you are in. There is no uncertainty, no going back and forth. If you are sure you have met your soulmate, then there is need to be committed to that person. You have to prepare your mind for that too. That means you are giving in your all, you are dedicated to see that it works, and you will not bail out on the long run. We are in times when people take the shortest route possible to find happiness or whatever it is they want. In the end, they discover that it is not worth it. Applying this to relationships, many people bail out and leave their partners at the slightest sign of a challenge or difficulty. They move on to the next available person that can give them what they are looking for at the time. Such people end in an unstable relationship, and the so-called happiness they're searching for eludes them. You have to make up your mind to stay, to stick with that person come rain or shine. It takes determination and commitment to do that, because there'll be times that are not so good and you will be likely tempted at some point. It is your resolve that will make your relationship stand. Be prepared to commit yourself to your relationship.